Avi, I think you did it with yours, huh? Is it on Fitbee? Hi everyone. So good to see so many people. Wow, there's a wave also. This is my first live and I'm quite excited. You'll have to call. Oh, wow. 1 second. Let me see the questions. Yeah, we'll answer all the questions. I think once we get on it, there are more important things that we can discuss, and you can ask all your questions as well. I hope everyone is keeping safe. Let's see if our young and dynamic doctor is ready. I can't. Oh, thank you so much, Hiru. That's very kind of you. We're just waiting for the doctor to join us. I think you can write all your questions and we'll read them out once he's here. Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm so
That
sorry. I'm not a late
no,
doctor.
that's
It's
okay.
just
We are
that
more than
I don't
happy
know
to
how to
have
figure out
you.
this Instagram live thing.
It's a first time for me as well. Yay.
Oh, okay, good. So it's not just me. Anyway, thanks
Hi.
for having me on, Fatima.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. And I know it's a Monday and am I clear?
Um, yeah, absolutely clear. Yeah.
What? Oh, can I remove this? Okay. Yeah. Now I can sit down. So, how was the lockdown for you? I know you guys
The
are all the front
lockdown.
runners.
So, well, yeah, the actual lockdown from March to April, we were also at home.
Mm.
Actually, that was an awesome time because we finally got some time off. So yeah, I like doing a lot of things. I like watching movies. I like reading, and I actually made a short film in that time as well. So I utilized my time very well.
I,
But
I,
from May
I don't
onwards, we
doubt
started
it.
working again. No, from
I
sorry,
also
June
saw the
onwards we
video
started
that
working.
you made for where you were washing and how to wash everything, and we in fact saw that, and we learned
Yeah,
how to wash our vegetables and our other
yeah,
things that come from outside.
yeah.
It's
So yeah,
great.
we were keeping busy basically. But we started
Yeah,
working
that's.
again from June 1st. So
Mm,
June 1st onwards, we started June till maybe mid-June. We were okay. We were doing regular surgeries, and then the corona cases started coming in. So we've been
yeah.
kind of busy with that now.
Someone says Dr. Adarsh, he likes your video and he loves you.
I think that's the Avi Clinic. No, that's yeah. Hi, Chini. How are you? That's my friend.
Awesome. Okay, so I
Yeah,
wanted to discuss a few things, and I also wanted somebody who relates to this generation more than people who have experience in the older generations who did not have fast food.
yeah.
So and who had way lesser desk jobs than what we have right now. So we
Mm-hmm.
launched a new plan recently, and that's when I realized that there are a lot of questions from almost everybody who texts us about variety of issues. Someone who fell down and played a sport and then their,
Hmm.
ACL tears. I also discussed that. So we wrote
Yeah,
down a list of questions that we wanted to ask you. And
sure.
also a lot of questions since 2 days of us announcing that you will be on the show, and everybody wanted to find out, about their issues. Now that there's a doctor, we'll find issues to make sure that
Sure.
he's there. So I'll start with my
Yeah,
first question.
absolutely.
Uh, how early can a person can work out? Like from 4 years is what we tell. So as a doctor, what do you suggest?
So there's actually no restriction to when you can start working out.
Exercising. Mm.
Yeah, there's no restriction to that. The thing is, like, if you think about it, you're talking about structured working out, right? Because what
Right.
kids do is usually exercising. They're always running around, they're burning all the energy, climbing trees. I don't know if people climb trees anymore,
We are
but
not.
climbing trees and stuff like that. So that is already exercise. But then what you're saying is more structured, focused, disciplined exercise,
Right.
in a proper structured way,
Hmm.
which will be difficult to do for any kid, I guess, less than 4 to 5 years old,
Correct.
right? So there's no restriction in terms of like orthopedic wise or even medically that you should not start at this particular time. But if
Hmm.
you can get the kid to concentrate and to be a little more disciplined and all that, yeah, definitely you can start even early as 4 or 5 years old.
Right. And also the fact is, like you said, not many people climb trees. Why say nobody? But the option of climbing a tree also should be there, right? So I
That's
think
true.
it's more to do with the amount of space restriction. And now that everybody is sitting at home, first of all, there is no climbing. And the second thing is there is automatically a restriction. It's just these are difficult times and not everyone can go out and
Yeah,
play as they were
yeah,
doing before. So yeah,
that's
that is
true.
one question. And the second thing is the concerns that parents have in terms of this workout. I don't know what workout is defined in, mostly in their concerns, but it comes from people relating to workout as weight training.
Right. Yeah.
So they think that workout is equal to dumbbells. So maybe that's
Exactly. Yeah.
why they say somehow someone said no, it's not good or something, and it continued. So as doctors, in fact, when I had an interview with your father, the legend,
Hmm.
Dr. Gurva Reddy, I said the same thing. So, and he was mentioning that nowadays kids have more screen time. Everything is a negotiation. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you think the same thing. And the second question is, how do you, is there a reason to say that if you exercise or have enough playtime, will that help in growth spurts of the child,
Good
growth of the child?
question. So see, the thing is, the growth spurts will happen regardless of whether you're exercising or not. It all depends a lot on hereditary factors. Like
Right.
if your parents or somebody in the family is tall, you're going to have a higher chance of being tall. It's not very easy to make yourself, taller or have a better growth spurts and all that. And the thing is, growth spurts itself are quite painful in terms of like you have a lot of bone pains, a lot of muscle pains in that phase when the kids are growing, when the skeleton is growing. It's quite painful. And when you're
Hmm.
exercising, the muscle fatigue and all that can cause a little bit more pain, at the time of growth spurts. So I don't
Hmm.
think it's actually going to contribute to the growth spurts or getting taller and anything. But one thing for sure is it'll help to like get a little more flexible. And for example, if they're training for something specific, like if they want to become athletes or gymnastics or something, that will definitely help them get a little bit more flexible. But it
Hmm.
won't really help in terms of accelerating the growth spurts.
Hmm. How about for people like me who studied all the time?
Wait, did you really study all the time?
Not now. I was talking about when I was young. Yeah, I was studying a
Right,
lot.
right.
So for people
Yeah.
like that who not naturally no motivated, what do you suggest they
To
do?
tell you the truth, I was also not a very physical kid. I was either sitting at home studying, or I'd rather like pick up a novel, or I'd play video games half the
Hmm.
time. And TV. TV is like my
But you
favorite
played
pastime.
tennis. Tennis,
That came
cricket.
later.
Oh,
That came
okay,
later.
okay.
Tennis. Yeah. So that's the thing. As a kid, I wasn't much of an outdoor kid.
Hmm.
So every kid has their own likes and dislikes, but at the same time, it is important to have some physical activity in the day. So you
Right.
kind of push them a little bit, but not. In fact, the only sport I did play was an indoor sport, table tennis, when I was a kid. So then, after like getting a little older, then I started getting into a little more of football and tennis and stuff. So
Oh, okay.
definitely studies are important, but it is important to have some physical activity
Yeah.
in
And
terms of
how does physical activity help in joints or the
yeah,
skeleton bone structure in general? How does it act?
definitely. So a lot of people think that if you're gonna overexert, your bones are going to get weaker and stuff. Actually, that's completely wrong. It's a complete opposite.
Okay.
There's something known as osteomalacia. Doesn't happen only in Malaysia, it happens in India also. Osteomalacia means weakening of the bones. Okay. It basically means when if you don't have enough of calcium and vitamin D in
Uh,
the bones start to get a little soft. Okay. And people think that that can happen if you overexert, but that's actually the reverse. If you do exercise, if you do have more physical
it
activity, there is more calcium deposition and there's more tendency for the bones to get stronger. So you have to have some physical activity for bone strength.
awesome. I love this answer. And also, there is one more question I personally wanted to know. So, when you start early, where you take care of your body at an early age, say five,
Mhm.
6, whatever, it's a small routines like how Akira does now.
Yeah.
So, does it make them less injury prone in terms of their body? If they get hurt, for example, they fall down. So, you know how these players like who go
Yeah.
to that athletic level, when they have injuries, their recovery time versus our recovery time is very different, right?
Yeah.
So what do
Yeah.
you think of that? So is that true?
Well,
Does it
definitely
get
it
better?
won't make them less accident prone
Mm,
because they're still gonna fall, they're still gonna have
right.
bruises and stuff like that. But as you said, if you do have like more toned muscles and stronger bones, you're gonna
Mm.
recover faster. You're gonna recover faster, that's for sure. And
So that's
somebody like who is not really playing much, okay,
mm,
and then they suddenly pick up like they say, okay, randomly one day they say, I just want to have a game of football.
mm,
They're gonna have much higher chance of injuring themselves than somebody who's regularly playing. So that's
mm,
actually what happened to me during my MBBS. I stopped most physical activity completely, and then suddenly during the annual day, let's play a game of football, and then I within the first 10 minutes I tore my meniscus, so I had to get
uh,
operated. So it's like if you suddenly start playing with a lot of inertia, that's going to definitely cause some problems. So definitely, if the kids, if not just kids, even teenagers and young adults, if they are working out regularly, it's going to give them less chance of injuring themselves in that way.
yeah. And
Yeah,
obviously you're saying better recovery,
and
if
faster
not
recovery.
faster. Yeah. Oh, okay,
Yes,
faster recovery. Cool.
yes.
And I think you already answered the question, but I'm going to ask anyway because I think it's important. When kids study and not have enough physical activity, what are the
Mhm.
dangers?
Well, yeah, as I said, apart from the skeletal, I mean, the orthopedic side of things, where I said bones can get weak if you're not, keeping some physical activity or the
Yeah.
other. The second thing is obviously obesity can set in.
Mm.
So, I mean, in South India, especially, we have this thing that, oh, he's a very lean kid, he's not healthy, he's not eating well. And
Yeah.
we're more like, we feel that the chubby kids are the healthier ones. It's not always, it's not actually correct. You should make
Yeah.
sure that they're eating as per their height and they're expending it in the physical activity. But if they're
Right.
always sitting at home and only reading, they're not going to have that physical health. And that
Yeah.
indirectly affects the mind as well. I always
Absolutely.
find people who are active and go out and play and come back, they
Mm.
they're much more relaxed when they're studying as well.
Yeah. I think their moods are also way better.
Yeah, absolutely. They're expending that energy.
Right. So, like now that you mentioned that, I'm going to follow it up with a question. So, I know,
Sure.
I think everyone knows obesity is bad for people and
Yes.
it is setting in. And now we are talking about that's the biggest pandemic right now.
Yeah.
But I feel that even a normal person who doesn't look unfit, like to the obvious eye, but there is, when they are inactive, I feel that, their immunity levels and everything are, are not at the best functionality. What do
Yeah.
you think about that as a doctor?
You're actually right. The people who are lean. So the thing is, there are different types of bodies. There are different body types.
Hmm.
So I mean, even some people who are really active, sometimes they can look a little overweight, a little
Hmm.
plumper, and
Yeah.
people who have a very sedentary lifestyle can look quite lean. It just depends on the
Hmm.
body type.
Right.
And the second type are actually a little more dangerous because they think they're very healthy because they're not putting
It's
on
not
much of
obvious.
weight. But inside, there are a lot of things happening. Like you can develop fatty liver and stuff. And then you have nowadays, it's quite scary. You have even
Hmm.
like 30-year-olds having heart attacks. Lean
Yeah.
guys who are not looking overweight at all. So the thing is, just because you're lean doesn't mean you're healthy. You still have to have some physical activity. You have to eat good. I shouldn't be preaching because I'm not very. You told me not to mention, but I'm going to mention it anyway. I don't have a very healthy eating habits. I like my fast food and stuff. But I do at least put in some time to exercise in the morning. I do play tennis for an hour in the morning. So that you have to balance
But
it
at the
somewhere.
same time, see, all these pleasures or guilty pleasures, as people name it, again,
Yeah,
it's all about moderation.
absolutely. Yeah, right. Yeah, you
Yeah.
you
So
can't just say,
no,
okay, I'm on a cheat day. I'm gonna eat like 2, 3 pizzas. No, it doesn't work that way. You
yeah.
should eat in moderation. Yeah.
Right. And again, I think there's one more question that I wanted to ask was there are these hormonal changes that teenagers go through. And that's a
Yes.
difficult time for the teenagers and just as a difficult time for parents.
Yeah.
So for them, what do you have any suggestions? Because those are things that everyone goes through. And like you said, you mentioned growing pains, which I think,
Yeah.
is something that's not known to everybody.
Yeah.
But I've heard that recent times, at least people are voicing that kids
Yeah.
have these pains in the nights because they
Yes.
grow.
Exactly.
Uh,
Especially in the night. Yeah.
yeah. So all of these are, they're very concerning for parents, I can say. And also the fact that they have stressful lives. What suggestions do you have for the parents as well as the teenagers?
Yeah, so there are two things you mentioned. One is about the growth pains, growing
Mm,
pains. So that's usually like you can say at around 7 to 10, around that age when like they're getting taller. So a
mm,
lot of parents come very concerned saying that he's having a lot of pain in the night times. He's like, almost, crying, a lot of muscular pain and all. That's quite normal. That
mm,
is the growth spurt. Okay, so that first of all, not something that shouldn't be worried about too much. It's quite
mm.
common. Everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
The second thing that you spoke about was the teenage age,
Hormonal
right?
change.
The
Yeah.
teenage phase where there are a lot of hormonal changes. So because of the different hormonal changes, fat gets deposited in the body in different areas. So you
Oh,
tend to put on more fat in that age group. Okay,
okay.
so then they suddenly may be feeling like all the all these years, even though they're eating like a lot of junk, they probably never realize. But it's
Yeah.
that stage when they start, developing. So definitely they have to be active. People have to
Mm,
be active, especially in the teenage age. And there are a lot of good hormones which get released when you're exercising well.
right.
So that will kind of counterbalance the fat deposition and everything that happens at that time. So it's
Right.
still again very important to be fit. So I know you guys are doing a great job making sure that kids are active. But yeah,
Yeah.
it shouldn't just be restricted, as you know, to only the younger age group. It has to be even the
Yeah.
teenage
Yeah.
group. Even though you're
Absolutely.
busy with your exams, make sure you have time for some physical activity.
Yeah. And so in the recent times, now that you've been practicing like without any gaps, in the recent times, have you met more kids who approach you with these pains or injuries, or the concerns that you were mentioning? Do you see that more often now because of whatever they eat, their eating habits also play a major role, right?
Yeah, but not necessarily. I don't think I've seen much of a surge in terms of orthopedic injuries
Mm.
because of the eating habits. But I mean, it may happen in the future. But the thing
Yeah.
is, like, if you have more people playing sports, you're going to have more people with sports injuries. So there's
Okay.
hardly anyone playing sports, right? So you're going to have.
Okay. I'm a little upset about that, but yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's one more thing that we wanted to discuss in terms of the questions that we've had. We had a lot of teenage girls who have also hormonal changes and they go through
yeah,
PCOD and all that.
yes,
So,
yes,
all of them, I think when they go to a doctor, in fact, the first thing they say is, make sure that you get activity, like physical activity,
absolutely,
make
yeah,
sure that,
yeah,
I think I've never seen a doctor explain to the patient, in at least here in my experience, never to me, where
Mhm.
they say that, okay, see, when you do this, you get better hormones are released in your mind. So you are happier, you are less stressed. So what do you think of that?
You're saying when after exercising?
Yeah. So no, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
saying that
Hmm.
doctors need to explain that more to kids. I think directly to the patient. What I mean is that instead of
Hmm.
someone else. So when the mother says, I don't think even Akira wants to listen to me preach. It's better if someone else tells him,
If the
right?
doctor
So
says
what do
it.
you think of
Yeah.
that?
No, no, that's important. There has to be addressed, especially
Mm,
like when you have kids. They're very impressionable at that time. So if you do tell them something, they catch on and they will keep that in the mind all the time. So if you say that,
right.
you can make sure that you are getting at least a half an hour to 1 hour of physical activity in a day, they will definitely listen. So you're right. A doctor should probably address the children as well directly and tell them that. Because after
Yeah.
a while, as I said, I think the mom's words are going to be just
Yeah. No,
flowing
yeah,
out
it's
from
not working here.
there. So yeah, the doctor definitely, that's a good responsibility that they should take. And you said about the different aspects of obesity, right? PCOD, a lot of girls do suffer from that. It's nothing to be scared about, but they have to be a little more careful and make sure they do a little more activity. They're more prone to putting on weight.
Right.
And even boys who are a little overweight in the growing age group, they can have
Okay.
different orthopedic problems as well. Like there's something
Right.
known as split capital femoral epiphysis, that's a hip problem. Then there's something known as Blount's disease where they have knock knees. All these, there are higher incidence of these in children who are overweight.
Overweight. Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so they should definitely make sure that they're not putting on too much of weight. Make sure that they are getting there. You have to, like, you know how we used to say you have to do like 2 hours of studying every day. You have to keep 1 hour of playtime as well. It
Yeah,
should be there.
absolutely. Okay, before we answer the other questions, I think the last question and the most popular question is growing tall. What
Growing
do I
tall,
do
yeah,
to grow tall? And
yeah.
we
So
sort of tell them that it depends person to person and their head, but it's better if
yeah,
you answer it.
it's it. So tell you the truth, it's not been proven anywhere that some particular kind of sport is going to make you grow taller. Some people, one guy actually messaged asking if I hang upside down for like a couple of hours, am I going to grow tall? I'm like, please don't try that. It's not going to help. So it all depends on your own body type and people in your family. So it's a lot of hereditary things acting over there. Well, they do say that playing sports like basketball can increase your height, but I don't think it's been proven anywhere. And in fact, see, it's quite unpredictable. I was the tallest in my class till around sixth or seventh grade, and I used to like feel very proud about it. And then I just stopped there. So then, like, and suddenly all my classmates are growing taller and taller and taller. I'm like, wait, what happened? I was supposed to be the tallest. So it's quite
Yeah,
unpredictable. It all depends on the on hereditary things as well. So
right.
I don't think there's something which can say, yeah, definitely that's going to make you grow taller.
Oh,
There's
okay.
nothing like that. Yeah.
Right. We'll get to the questions. We'll get to the questions that a lot of people wrote in the last 2 days. They wanted to ask you, and
Sure.
also Avinash. So Avinash, the co-founder of Fitbee, is going to come and join the call now, and both of you can do the Q&A together.
Sure. He's one of
Yeah.
the fittest guys I know, Avinash. He
Even
gives us all
even
a
he's the
complex.
fittest guy I know.
Hey,
Yeah,
Azu.
yeah, Avinash, you're giving all of us a complex, man.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
All right. So before we start with the questions, just one quick observation.
Sure. I think I lost you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see me
Yeah,
now?
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adarsh said that, he's good at like one indoor sport, table tennis, right? So the few times we played together when we were young, well, when you were young and I was youngish, I think you beat me quite comprehensively. So
Yeah.
I can vouch for it that you were
It doesn't
good.
require too much of running, right? That's why.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But like you said, as we got like older, I started getting good at other sports. So.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
can't beat you at tennis.
Yeah. Well, so let's get started with some. Let's get started with some questions. Like Pratima said, we had quite a
Sure.
few questions from people asking on Instagram, and we'll alternate some fitness related and some orthopedic related. So Varun _99 asks, is it okay to put pressure on a ligament, toe, knee after strengthening it?
Right. So I think he's talking about an ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament in the knee joint. So that's a very common injury that people have, especially while playing twisting sports which require a lot of twisting, like badminton, football. So what happens is there's a ligament. It's kind of like a rope-like structure which holds the two bones of the knee joint together, and that very commonly gets snapped. It tears. So that's called an ACL or a ligament tear. So if it's not a complete tear, if it's not a severe tear, if it's just a partial tear, as long as you've strengthened the quadriceps muscles, you should be able to get back to normal weight bearing and normal life again. But if it's a complete tear, sometimes that may not be enough. It's always better to give a chance by doing the exercises and then trying and seeing if you're doing okay. But if it doesn't work, then you have to consider going for an arthroscopic surgery where you have to put a small camera in the joint and repair the ligament. But most of the cases, around 75 to 80% of ligament tears are not a complete tear. If they've adequately strengthened the quadriceps muscle, they should be able to get back to normal life.
Cool, thanks. All right, the next question, I'll take it. It's on kids fitness. It's from a very complicated ID, which I can't read. So it says, what should we give kids in a full meal, right? So I would say that, like similar to what adults eat, kids also have to eat that, but like, try to make their food interesting. Don't try to follow a pattern because they might get bored with the pattern initially. But make their plate colorful. You can add like, a lot of veggies and, fish, chicken, if they're non-vegetarians. If they're vegetarians, you can have dal, paneer, but make the food interesting and make it colorful is what I would say. All right. So the next question is from Poonam Kataria. What is the solution to get rid of shin pain that occurs during running?
Right. So this is a very common problem people have. Again, if you're going to start running after a long stretch of not much of activity, that's when you get these kind of pains. If you're regular, usually it doesn't happen. So first of all, your bones have to be strong. So bone strength requires one main thing. Everybody knows it's calcium. But there's another thing known as vitamin D, which a lot of people don't know what the action of vitamin D is. Vitamin D, I like to compare it to an Uber. Okay, so you ingest calcium, but for the calcium to reach your bones from the stomach, it needs a cab like an Uber. So that vitamin D brings the calcium from the stomach to the bones.
Okay.
So you need, it's not just enough to have only calcium, you need to have good vitamin D as well. Then your bones become stronger. And then when you are getting to these kind of activities like running, that shin pain can reduce to a large extent.
And any dosage that you recommend? Any dosage of?
It depends. It again depends on the body weight. So it depends on the age of the patient and the body weight and what their present levels are as well. So let them always get tested first, get the vitamin D levels checked, and then they can start the supplements if they need it.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to follow up a continuous question from Nakul, because it's the same thing related to running, where he says that, he feels a lot of knee pain when he's running. So maybe you can combine the shin and the knee and explain why that happens. So.
Yeah, so these are two different things. The shin is the bone. You're talking about the bone itself. And the knee is a joint, right? So the shin pain, as I said, is usually because of low vitamin D or calcium levels. As I said, make sure these levels are good. Physical activity is important, regular physical activity. So it shouldn't be like once in a month, you just get up and like run around for a bit. It has to be regular. And second thing is sunlight exposure, at least half an hour in the mornings before 8 o'clock, helps to increase the vitamin D levels in the body and helps to reduce these kind of pains. So that's about the shin pain. And the other person, Nakul, I think, asked about the knee pain, right? So the knee is a joint. It's completely different. The calcium and vitamin D won't help to improve joint pain. So to reduce joint pain, what you need to do is there are some specific exercises for the quadriceps muscle. So I'm sure you guys are doing a lot of quadriceps exercises as well.
Yes.
If you strengthen the quadriceps muscle, this is the muscle above the knee joint, that takes the load off of the joint. So when you are doing your activities and you're running and sports and everything, all the pressure which is falling on the knee joint is taken up by the muscle.
Yeah.
So it's very important to strengthen the quadriceps muscle to reduce knee pain.
So we believe in strengthening from down up. So we believe that, if you have strong lowers and a strong back, you can lead a healthy life even as you keep getting older as well.
Absolutely. So more important because it's the weight bearing part of the body, right?
Yeah.
So the back and the knees are more important than the upper body.
Yeah. All right. So now we've got at least 10 questions on, I'm going to answer this one on how to lose weight from multiple people, like how many calories I need to eat, what is the best way to lose weight. I want to reduce weight in my hips and stomach, and what is the diet. So I'm just going to answer all these questions in one go. First thing is like the simple format of losing weight is calories in versus calories out, right? So if you're expending more calories than you're taking in over a period of time, you start to lose weight, all right? But then the calories in also matters a lot. So what are you doing with your calories in? Like you can't have like a bowl of ice cream, which is like, 500 calories in your 1200 or 1500 calorie count and expect, because it comes with, a lot of the variety of factors. So make sure that you're eating clean over a long period of time. and you're controlling your calories. Again, burning calories versus, so you're working out and also diet. So that's what you do. And for the second part, where we get a lot of things, where I want to reduce my arms, I want to reduce my belly and all that. So it's possible to, I would say, tone a specific body part, but you can't as such lose fat from one particular body part. You lose throughout your body, and for different people, it varies in different ways. Like some people, when they lose weight, they lose first in their cheeks, where they become taut. Some people are lucky and they lose first in the stomach. So that varies from people to people, and we can't specifically, like, point out which part you lose weight first, is what I would say.
I think
But
I'm unlucky. I never lose weight around the tummy. I'm one
but
of the
you're one
unlucky
of
people.
those healthy thin guys who doesn't show any weight, right? You
I
tuck your
told you
shirt well.
that's
You
the
tuck your
dangerous
shirt
type.
well.
That's the dangerous type. You don't know that your body is unhealthy because you're like looking lean.
Yeah. On the live, just someone, Avika Gupta, just asked us, what time of the day is sunlight absorption best for kids? So since you just answered that, Avika just asked that. For
Yeah.
kids, is
So
it the
that is,
same as well? Or
yeah, it's the same as it's the same for adults. So the thing is, the absorption of the rays is not the problem. The skin, how this works is basically there's an inactive form of vitamin D in our skin. So when the ultraviolet rays of the sun hits the skin, the
yeah,
inactive vitamin D gets activated. So
yeah,
it's not that it's only in the morning time that those rays are getting absorbed. The only thing is after 8 o'clock, the harmful effects of those rays also set in. It
yeah,
becomes much harsher. So you get the harmful effects. But before 8,
yeah.
you only have the good effects, that is absorption and the conversion to active vitamin D without the harsh effects on the skin. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And it's the same for adults and kids.
All right. Also on the live itself, Shravanti Alampali asked you a question. Hi, Adarsh.
Mhm.
My nephew is 19 months old and has fallen down while climbing a chair 5 days ago. He's not showing any pain, but he's also not walking normally. Will he get normal gradually, or should we visit a hospital?
19 months, she said.
19 months old, yeah.
19 months old. So that's like, yeah, just a bit over a year. So falls in that age group is very, very common. Okay. And the thing about the bones in the kids is, in that age group, is even if there is a small hairline fracture, it heals very, very fast.
Yeah.
Now, how long back did she say he fell?
5 days back.
5 days ago. Okay.
Yeah.
We're still not able to walk even after a couple of days more. Then it's always better to bring to the hospital. They can just get an X-ray to see if everything is okay. But usually they should be fine. In case another 2-3 days after it's been a week since the fall, if she's still not able to walk, then bring him to the hospital and we can get an X-ray done and have a look.
All right. We'll take like 2 or 3 more questions. And from Panchami asks you, actually, you just talked about ACL, right? So she asked you, one ACL is, can you lead a normal life with an ACL tear if you don't opt
Absolutely, you can.
to get a surgery done?
Sorry, I lost you. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Can you lead a normal life with an ACL tear if you don't opt for surgery? Can you lead a normal life?
You can. So as I said, ACL tears can either be a partial tear or a complete tear. 70% are usually partial, and a partial tear, if you do your exercises well, you should be fine without any problem in the future. Even if it is a complete tear, some people, they strengthen their
Others, you're
muscles
just
so
breaking
well
up
that
slightly.
they're.
Yeah.
Sorry, one second. Hold on. Now, can you hear me? Is it better?
Yeah, now it's clear. Yeah, it's clear now. Yeah.
So as I was saying, the partial tear, usually they don't have any problem at all. You don't need a surgery. If you strengthen your quadriceps muscles well, that's more than enough. Even if it is a complete tear, you can still try the exercises. And if your daily life doesn't really involve much of sports and everything, you should be okay. You can live a normal life. But the thing is, even after surgery, you can get back to complete, even high level of sports. I think Yuvraj Singh had 2 or 3 ACL surgeries in his life. He continued playing.
Okay.
Cristiano Ronaldo, as far as I know, had at least 3 ACL surgeries, and
he's the fittest guy in
he's
football,
a beast,
right? Like, so,
right? Exactly.
in sport.
You can, in ACL life, should not completely keep you bedridden.
Cool. Thank you. And I'll take one last question from Nikita, which says, what supplements should be included in our diet? So I would say, like, by and large, if you're leading a healthy lifestyle, you don't need like a lot of supplements. But I would recommend, like, if you're working out, maybe like a scoop of protein, whey protein powder after your workout. If you're a vegan, then there's a lot of plant protein as well that you can take after your workout. Apart from that, if you really need it, maybe like a multivitamin or a fish oil tablet, I would say. And like Adarsh also recommended, like visit a doctor, and if you need it, like, vitamin D3. So
Yeah.
tablets, I would
Yeah,
say.
because in
Those
Indians
things.
especially, vitamin D levels and vitamin B12 levels are quite low. So even if you're taking a good amount of vitamin D rich food like milk products and leafy vegetables, sometimes it's still not enough. So you may have to get some vitamin D supplements in your diet as well.
Yeah.
But get your levels checked first.
Others, you just broke up there again, but we heard the last part. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like Others. So we're just going to wrap up.
Sure.
And we have one last question that many parents ask. Both Pratima and you talked about growing. Both Pratima and you talked about growing taller, and it's not related much to workouts and all that, right? So on the other hand, we also get a lot of questions from parents asking us, will working out stunt my child's growth? I mean, like, we haven't come across any study like that, unless there's an injury to their spine or something, but will it stunt their growth if they work out?
It's not been proven anywhere that it's going to stunt your growth. As Pratima had mentioned, working out doesn't only mean weightlifting, right? It means a lot of, it spans a huge array of exercises and stuff like that. And even if you are weight bearing, I haven't seen any like proven evidence saying that it's going to stunt the growth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they usually say weight training and stuff, you can start a little later, like maybe 7 or 8 years old. But you can do all the other kinds of workouts, like all the lovely fitness routines you guys are doing, can be started at a young age. It's not going to hamper the height or the growth of the child at all. If anything, it may just help improve the fitness levels and keep them less prone to injury.
Superb. All right. So let me finish off with like a personal question. Yeah.
Sure.
Lighten the mood slightly. So what skills have you learned in the lockdown? Like you said, you were locked up in the house, right? I saw the Indie Jones movie that you made with Arjun.
Yeah, with your nephew.
But that's always been your passion. But what new skills have you learned? Like,
that's a very good question. I don't know. Actually, I don't think I learned anything new. I was just kicking it back. I was watching good movies and stuff. I don't know. Maybe did I help out my wife in tidying up the room? No, I didn't even do that.
Of course you did.
I did nothing new this lockdown.
I'll tell you what I didn't learn. Yeah, like I realized what I'm not good at. Right, I'm not good at giving kids a haircut. All right, so I put Virat Kohli's photo next to my son, and I was going to give him a haircut, and it turned out to be like a Supandi haircut. So.
Yeah, actually, that way Harsha gave me a couple of good haircuts because she couldn't stand to see me anymore with my jungly hair.
She did a good job. She did a good job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually, you asked what I learned. The first few days, I got a lot of josh. I took out my textbooks. I started reading about hip surgeries, the new advances, and everything.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of webinars going on nowadays, so I learned a lot there. But then after the first, I think 1 week to 10 days, I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna get back to watching movies.
Cool. All right. So it's been great having you, Adarsh, and thanks a lot.
Thanks,
and we'll catch up sometime soon and play tennis, like whenever
definitely.
the time permits.
With the mask on.
With the masks on, yeah. And no parties, right? Like what
no
happened?
Parties.
Yeah. So,
no parties.
Yeah. All right.
Fantastic.
So
you're
doing
a great job.
Do you want to wrap it up?
Thank you so much.
I love
the
videos. I keep watching. Akira is the superstar, actually.
I know, he has his own fan base. He has his own fan base. He's hiding in the couch and he's listening to what you're saying, sir.
Fantastic. Good. Keep up the good work, guys.
No?
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. Take care. Have a nice one.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, how do I end this? I'm very bad at Instagram.
You're still on.